6115 The computer, its role in research. Introduction. Problem solving is an age-old activity. The development of electronic devices, especially the computers, has given added impetus to this activity. Problems which could not be solved earlier due to sheer amount of computations involved can now be tackled with the aid of computers accurately and rapidly. Computer is certainly one of the most versatile and ingenious developments of the modern technological age. Today people use computers in almost every walk of life. No longer are they just big boxes with flashing lights whose sole purpose is to do arithmetic at high speed, but they make use of studies in philosophy, psychology, mathematics and linguistics to produce output that mimics the human mind. The sophistication in computer technology has reached the stage that it will not be longer before it is impossible to tell whether you are talking to man or machine. Indeed, the advancement in computers is astonishing. To the researcher, the use of computer to analyze complex data has made complicated research designs practical. Electronic computers have by now become an indispensable part of research students in the physical and behavioral sciences as well as in the humanities. The research student, in this age of computer technology, must be exposed to the methods and use of computers. A basic understanding of the manner in which a computer works helps a person to appreciate the utility of this powerful tool. Keeping all this in view, the present chapter introduces the basics of computers, especially it answers questions like, what is a computer? How does it function? How does one communicate with it? How does it help in analyzing data? The computer and computer technology. A computer, as the name indicates, is nothing but a device that computes. In this sense, any device, however crude or sophisticated, that enables one to carry out mathematical manipulations becomes a computer. But what has made this term conspicuous today and what we normally imply when we speak of computers are electronically operating machines which are used to carry out computations. 362 Research methodology. In brief, computer is a machine capable of receiving, storing, manipulating and yielding information such as numbers, words, pictures. The computer can be a digital computer or it can be an analog computer. A digital computer is one which operates essentially by counting using information, including letters and symbols, in coded form, whereas the analog computer operates by measuring rather than counting. Digital computer handles information as strings of binary numbers, i.e., zeros and ones, with the help of counting process, but analog computer converts varying quantities such as temperature and pressure into corresponding electrical voltages and then performs specified functions on the given signals. Thus, analog computers are used for certain specialized engineering and scientific applications. Most computers are digital, so much so that the word computer is generally accepted as being synonymous with the term digital computer. Computer technology has undergone a significant change over a period of 4 decades. The present-day microcomputer is far more powerful and costs very little, compared to the world's first electronic computer, viz. Electronic Numerical Integrator and Calculator ENIAC, completed in 1946. The microcomputer works many times faster, is thousands of times more reliable and has a large memory. The advances in computer technology are usually talked in terms of generations. Today we have the 4th generation computer in service and efforts are being made to develop the 5th generation computer, which is expected to be ready by 1990. The first generation computer started in 1945 contained 18,000 small bottle-sized valves which constituted its central processing unit CPU. This machine did not have any facility for storing programs and the instructions had to be fed into it by a readjustment of switches and wires. The second generation computer found the way for development with the invention of the transistor in 1947. The transistor replaced the valve in all electronic devices and made them much smaller and more reliable. Such computers appeared in the market in the early 60s. The third generation computer followed the invention of integrated circuit (IC) in 1959. Such machines, with their CPU and main store made of IC chips, appeared in the market in the second half of the 60s. The 4th generation computers owe their birth to the advent of microprocessor, the king of chips, in 1972. The use of microprocessor as CPU in a computer has made real the dream of computer for the masses. This device has enabled the development of microcomputers, personal computers, portable computers and the like. The 5th generation computer, which is presently in the developing stage, may use new switch such as the high electron mobility transistor instead of the present one, and it may herald the era of superconducting computer. It is said that 5th generation computer will be 50 times or so more faster than the present day superfast machines. So far as input devices in computers are concerned, the card or tape-based data entry system has almost been replaced by direct entry devices, such as Visual Display Unit (VDU), which consist of a TV-like screen and a typewriter-like keyboard which is used for feeding data into the computer. Regarding output devices, the teleprinter has been substituted by various types of low-cost high-speed printers. VDU is also used as an output device. For storing data, the magnetic tapes and disks first-generation computers were those produced between 1945–60 such as IBM 650, IBM 701. Second-generation computers were those produced between 1960–65 such as IBM 1401 Honeywell 40. Third-generation computers were those produced between 1965–70 such as IBM System 360, 370. Fourth-generation computers are those produced between 1971 to this date such as IBM 3033, HP 3000, Burroughs B 7700. The computer, its role in Research 363 are being replaced by devices such as bubble memories and optical video disks. In brief, computer technology has become highly sophisticated and is being developed further at a very rapid speed. The computer system in general, all computer systems can be described as containing some kind of input devices, the CPU, and some kind of output devices. Figure 15.1 depicts the components of a computer system and their interrelationship. Central Processing Unit (CPU) Control Unit interprets the computer program. Directs the operation of all components and units of the system. Input devices enters the computer program and data into internal storage. Internal storage holds the computer program and data, and makes them available for processing. Arithmetic Logical Unit performs all arithmetic operations and logical comparisons. Instruction or data flow control function. Fig. 15.1 Output devices records result received from internal storage. The function of the input-output devices is to get information into, and out of, the CPU. The input devices translate the characters into binary, understandable by the CPU, and the output devices retranslate them back into the familiar character, i.e., in a human-readable form. In other words, the purpose of the input-output devices is to act as translating devices between our external world and the internal world of the CPU, i.e., they act as an interface between man and the machine. So far as CPU is concerned, it has three segments, viz. I. Internal storage, E. Control unit, and E. Arithmetic logical unit. When a computer program or data is input into the CPU, it is in fact input into the internal storage of the CPU. The control unit serves to direct the sequence of computer system operation. Its function extends to the input and output devices as well and does not just remain confined to the sequence of operation within the CPU. The arithmetic logical unit is concerned with performing the arithmetic operations and logical comparisons designated in the computer program. In terms of overall sequence of events, a computer program is input into the internal storage and then transmitted to the control unit, where it becomes the basis for overall sequencing and control of computer system operations. Data that is input into the internal storage of the CPU is available for 364 research methodology processing by the arithmetic logical unit, which conveys the result of the calculations and comparisons back to the internal storage. After the designated calculations and comparisons have been completed, output is obtained from the internal storage of the CPU. It would be appropriate to become familiar with the following terms as well in context of computers. A. Hardware. All the physical components such as CPU, input-output devices, storage devices, etc. of computer are collectively called hardware. B. Software. It consists of computer programs written by the user which allow the computer to execute instructions. C. Firmware. It is that software which is incorporated by the manufacturer into the electronic circuitry of computer. D. System software. It is that program which tells the computer how to function. It is also known as operating software and is normally supplied by the computer manufacturer. E. Application software. It is that program which tells the computer how to perform specific tasks such as preparation of company payroll or inventory management. This software is either written by the user himself or supplied by software houses, the companies whose business is to produce and sell software. F. Integrated circuit IC. It is a complete electronic circuit fabricated on a single piece of pure silicon. Silicon is the most commonly used semiconductor, a material which is neither a good conductor of electricity nor a bad one. An IC may be small scale, medium scale or a large scale depending upon the number of electronic components fabricated on the chip. G. Memory chips. These ICs form the secondary memory or storage of the computer. They hold data and instructions not needed immediately by the main memory contained in the CPU. H2 state devices. The transistors on an IC chip take only two states. They are either on or off, conducting or non-conducting. The on state is represented by 1 and the off state by 0. These two binary digits are called bits. A string of 8 bits is termed byte and a group of bits constitute a word. A chip is called 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit and so on, depending on the number of bits contained in its standard word. Important characteristics. The following characteristics of computers are noteworthy. Speed. Computers can perform calculations in just a few seconds that human beings would need weeks to do by hand. This has led to many scientific projects which were previously impossible. Diligence. Being a machine, a computer does not suffer from the human traits of tiredness and lack of concentration. If 2 million calculations have to be performed, it will perform the 2 millionth with exactly the same accuracy and speed as the first. Storage. Although the storage capacity of the present-day computer is much more than its earlier counterpart, but even then the internal memory of the CPU is only large enough to retain a certain amount of information, just as the human brain selects and retains what it feels to be important and relegates unimportant details to the back of the mind or just. The computer. Its role in research 365 forgets them. Hence, it is impossible to store all types of information inside the computer records. If need be, all unimportant information data can be stored in auxiliary storage devices, and the same may be brought into the main internal memory of the computer, as and when required for processing. Accuracy. The computer's accuracy is consistently high. Errors in the machinery can occur, but, due to increased efficiency in error detecting techniques, these seldom lead to false results. Almost without exception, the errors in computing are due to human rather than to technological weaknesses, i.e., due to imprecise thinking by the programmer or due to inaccurate data or due to poorly designed systems. Automation. Once a program is in the computer's memory, all that is needed is the individual instructions to it, which are transferred one after the other, to the control unit for execution. The CPU follows these instructions until it meets a last instruction which says, "Stop program execution." Binary digits. Computers use only the binary number system, a system in which all the numbers are represented by a combination of two digits, 1 and 0, and thus operates to the base of 2, compared to the ordinary decimal arithmetic which operates on a base of 10. Binary system has been described in further details under separate heading in this chapter. Computers use binary system because the electrical devices can understand only on, 1, or off, 0. The binary number system. An arithmetic concept which uses 2 levels, instead of 10, but operates on the same logic, is called the binary system. The binary system uses 2 symbols, 0, and 1 foot, known as bits, to form numbers. The base of this number system is 2. The system is called binary because it allows only 2 symbols for the formation of numbers. Binary numbers can be constructed just like decimal numbers, except that the base is 2 instead of 10. For example, similarly, 523 decimal equals 5 times 102 plus 2 times 101 plus 3 times 100,111. Binary equals 1 times 22 plus 1 times 21 plus 1 times 20 equals 7. Decimal. Thus, in the example, we see that in the decimal system, the first place is for ones, second place is for tens, and the third place is for 100. On the other hand, in the binary system, the factor being 2 instead of 10, the first place is still for ones, but the second place is for 2s, the third for 4s, the fourth for 8s, and so on. Decimal to binary conversion. A positive decimal integer can be easily converted to equivalent binary form by repeated division by 2. The method works as follows. Start by dividing the given decimal integer by 2. Let R1 be the remainder and QL the quotient. Next, divide QL by 2 and let R2 and Q2 be the remainder and quotient respectively. Continue this process of division by 2 until a 0 is obtained as quotient. The equivalent binary number can be formed by arranging the remainders as RK-1, R1 where RK and R1 are the last and the first remainders respectively, obtained by the division process. 366 Research Methodology Illustration 1. Find the binary equivalents of 26 and 45. Solution. Table for conversion of 26 into its binary equivalent. Number to be quotient remainder divided by 2 26130136163031110. Collecting the remainders obtained in the above table, we find that 26 decimal equals 11,010 binary, or 2610 equals 11010. 2. Similarly, we can find the binary equivalent of 45 as under. Table 15.1 number to be quotient remainder divided by 2 4 5 2 2 1 2 2 1 1 0 1 1 5 1 5 2 1 2 1 0 1 0 1. Thus, we have 4 5 1 0 equals 101 101 2, i.e., the binary equivalent of 45 is 101,101. Alternative method. Another simple method for decimal to binary conversion is to first express the given integer as a sum of powers of 2, written in ascending order. For example, 26 equals 16 plus 8 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0 equals 1 times 24 plus 1 times 23 plus 0 times 22 plus 1 times 21 plus 0 times 20. Then collect the multipliers of the powers to form the binary equivalent. For 26, we get, from the above mentioned expansion 11,010 as the binary equivalent. This alternative method is convenient for converting small decimal integers by hand. Binary to decimal conversion. A simple method for converting a binary number to its decimal equivalent is known as double Babel method. This can be described as follows. The computer. Its role in research 367. Begin the conversion process by doubling the leftmost bit of the given number and add to it the bit at its right. Then again double the sum and add to it the third bit from the left. Proceed in this manner till all the bits have been considered. The final sum obtained by repeated doubling and adding is the desired decimal equivalent. Illustration 2. Convert 1101 to its decimal equivalent using the double Babel method. Solution. 1. Doubling the leftmost bit we get 2. 2. Adding to it the bit on its right we get 2 plus 1 equals 3 3. Doubling again the number obtained we get 6 4. Adding to it the next bit we get 6 plus 0 equals 6 5. Again doubling we get 12 6. Finally adding the last bit we get 12 plus 1 equals 13. Thus, we have 11012 2 equals 1310. In other words, the decimal equivalent of binary 1101 is 13. Conversion of real number to binary number is also possible, but it involves little bit more complicated conversion process. Those interested may read any binary system book. Computations in binary system. A binary addition. Binary addition is just like decimal addition except that the rules are much simpler. The binary addition rules are as shown below. 0 0 1 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1 0 1 1 1 0. Note that sum of 1 and 1 is written as 10 feet, a 0 sum with a 1 carry, which is the equivalent of decimal digit 2. We can now look at two examples of binary additions which make use of the above rules. Illustration 3. Add 10 10 and 101. Solution. Binary decimal equivalent 10 10 plus 101 1111. Illustration 4. Add 10,111,000 and 111,011. 10 plus 5 15. 368 Research methodology solution. Carry 111 carry 11 101 11000 184 plus 111011 11110011 plus 59,243. In illustration 4, we find a new situation 1 plus 1 plus 1 brought about by the 1 carry. However, we can still handle this by using the 4 combinations already mentioned. We add the digits in turn. 1 plus 1 equals 10, a 0 sum with a 1 carry. The third one is now added to this result to obtain 11, a 1 sum with a 1 carry. The computer performs all the other arithmetical operations, viz. Times, plus, by a form of addition. This is easily seen in the case of multiplication, e.g., 6 times the eighth of may be thought of as essentially being determined by evaluating, with necessary carryovers, 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. This idea of repeated addition may seem to be a longer way of doing things, but remember that computer is well suited to carry out the operation at great speed. Subtraction and division are handled essentially by addition using the principle of complementing. B. Complementary subtraction. 3 steps are involved in this method. Step 1. Find the ones complement of the number you are subtracting. Step 2. Add this to number from which you are taking away. Step 3. If there is a carry of 1, add it to obtain the result. If there is no carry, add 0, recomplement and attach a negative sign to obtain the result. Following 2 examples illustrate this method. Illustration 5. Subtract 10 from 25. Solution. Decimal number 25 subtract 10 15. Illustration 6. Binary number subtract 72 from 14. 1100101010. Step 1 Step 2 Step 3 Result according to complementary method 11,001 plus 10,101, 1's complement of 01010, 101,110 1, add the carry of 1, 1111. Its decimal equivalent is 15. The computer. Its role in research 369 solution. Decimal number 14 subtract 72 to 58 binary number 0001110, 1001000 according to complementary method Step 1. Step 2. Step 3. Result 0001110 plus 0110111, 1's complement of 1,001,000, 010001010, add 0 is no carry, 1000101, 0111010, recomplement and attach a negative sign. Its decimal equivalent is -58. The computer performs the division operation essentially by repeating this complementary subtraction method. For example, 45 divided by the 9th of may be thought of as 45 to 9 equals 36 to 9 equals 27 to 9 equals 18 to 9 equals 9 to 9 equals 0 minus 9 5 times. Binary fractions. Just as we use a decimal point to separate the whole and decimal fraction parts of a decimal number, we can use a binary point in binary numbers to separate the whole and fractional parts. The binary fraction can be converted into decimal fraction as shown below. 0.101 binary equals 1 times 2 to 1 plus 0 times 2 to 2 plus 1 times 2 to 3 equals 0.5 plus 0.0 plus 0.125 equals 0.625 decimal. To convert the decimal fraction to binary fraction, the following rules are applied. I multiply the decimal fraction repeatedly by 2. The whole number part of the first multiplication gives the first 1 or 0 of the binary fraction. The fractional part of the result is carried over and multiplied by 2. The whole number part of the result gives the second 1 or 0 and so on. Illustration 7 converts 0.625 into its equivalent binary fraction. Solution. Applying the above rules, this can be done as under. 0.625 times 2 equals 1.250 right pointing arrow 10.250 times 2 equals 0.500 right pointing arrow 0.500 times 2 equals 1.000 right pointing arrow 1 hence, 0.101 is the required binary equivalent. 370 Research methodology. Illustration 8 convert 3.375 into its equivalent binary number. Solution. This can be done in 2 stages. First 310 equals 112 as shown earlier. Secondly, 0.37510 equals 0.0112 as shown above. Hence, the required binary equivalent is 11.011. From all this above description we find how computer arithmetic is based on addition. Exactly how this simplifies matters can only be understood in the context of binary, not in decimal. The number of individual steps may indeed be increased because all computer arithmetic is reduced to addition, but the computer can carry out binary additions at such great speed that this is not a disadvantage. Computer applications. At present, computers are widely used for varied purposes. Educational, commercial, industrial, administrative, transport, medical, social, financial and several other organizations are increasingly depending upon the help of computers to some degree or the other. Even if our work does not involve the use of computers in our everyday work, as individuals, we are affected by them. The motorists, the air passenger, hospital patients and those working in large departmental stores, are some of the people for whom computers process information. Everyone who pays for electricity or telephone has their bills processed by computers. Many people who are working in major organizations and receive monthly salary have their salary slips prepared by computers. Thus, it is difficult to find anyone who in some way or the other does not have some information concerning them processed by computer. 0.1 inches computers can be used by just about anyone: doctors, policemen, pilots, scientists, engineers and recently even housewives. Computers are used not only in numeric applications but also in non-numeric applications such as proving theorems, playing chess, preparing menu, matrimonial matchmaking and so on. Without computers we might not have achieved a number of things. For example, man could not have landed on the moon nor could he have launched satellites. We might not have built 100-storied buildings or high-speed trains and planes. 2. The following table depicts some of the important applications and uses of computers. Table 15.2 Applications in some of the various uses. 1. Education. I provide a large data bank of information. Aid to timetabling. Carry out lengthy or complex calculations. IV. Assist teaching and learning processes. V. Provide students profiles. V. Assist in career guidance. Hollow circle. Content. 1N. Subramanian, Introduction to Computers, Tata McGraw-Hill Publishing Company Limited, New Delhi, 1986, p. 192. 2 Ibid. p. 192-93. The computer. Its role in research. 371 Applications in some of the various uses. 2. Commerce I assist the production of text material known as word processing, such as reports, letters, circulars, etc. E handle payroll of personnel, office accounts, invoicing, records keeping, sales analysis, stock control and financial forecasting. 3. Banks and financial I check handling, institutions E updating of accounts, E printing of customer statements, IV interest calculations. 4. Management I planning of new enterprises, E finding the best solution from several options, E helpful in inventory management, sales forecasting and production planning, IV useful in scheduling of projects. 5. Industry I in process control, E in production control, E used for load control by electricity authorities, IV computer-aided designs to develop new products. 6. Communications I helpful in electronic mail, and transportation E useful in aviation, training of pilots, seat reservations, provide information to pilots about weather conditions, E facilitate routine jobs such as crew schedules, timetables, maintenance schedules, safety systems, etc. IV helpful to railways, shipping companies, V used in traffic control and also in space flight. 7. Scientific research I model processing, E performing computations, E research and data analysis. 8. The homes I used for playing games such as chess, drafts, etc. E can be used as an educational aid, E home management is facilitated. Computers and researchers performing calculations almost at the speed of light, the computer has become one of the most useful research tools in modern times. Computers are ideally suited for data analysis concerning large research projects. Researchers are essentially concerned with huge storage of data, their faster retrieval when required and processing of data with the aid of various techniques. In all these operations, computers are of great help. Their use, apart expediting the research work, has reduced human drudgery and added to the quality of research activity. 372 Research methodology. Researchers in economics and other social sciences have found, by now, electronic computers to constitute an indispensable part of their research equipment. The computers can perform many statistical calculations easily and quickly. Computation of means, standard deviations, correlation coefficients, t-tests, analysis of variance, analysis of covariance, multiple regression, factor analysis and various nonparametric analyses are just a few of the programs and subprograms that are available at almost all computer centers. Similarly, canned programs for linear programming, multivariate analysis, Monte Carlo simulation etc. are also available in the market. In brief, software packages are readily available for the various simple and complicated analytical and quantitative techniques of which researchers generally make use of. The only work a researcher has to do is to feed in the data he/she gathered after loading the operating system and particular software package on the computer. The output, or to say the result, will be ready within seconds or minutes depending upon the quantum of work. Techniques involving trial and error process are quite frequently employed in research methodology. This involves lot of calculations and work of repetitive nature. Computer is best suited for such techniques, thus reducing the drudgery of researchers on the one hand and producing the final result rapidly on the other. Thus, different scenarios are made available to researchers by computers in no time which otherwise might have taken days or even months. The storage facility which the computers provide is of immense help to a researcher, for he can make use of stored up data whenever he requires to do so. Thus, computers do facilitate the research work. Innumerable data can be processed and analyzed with greater ease and speed. Moreover, the results obtained are generally correct and reliable. Not only this, even the design, pictorial graphing and report are being developed with the help of computers. Hence, researchers should be given computer education and be trained in the line so that they can use computers for their research work. Researchers interested in developing skills in computer data analysis, while consulting the computer centers and reading the relevant literature, must be aware of the following steps: I. Data organization and coding, E. Storing the data in the computer, E. Selection of appropriate statistical measures techniques, IV. Selection of appropriate software package, V. Execution of the computer program. A brief mention about each of the above steps is appropriate and can be stated as under. First of all, researcher must pay attention toward data organization and coding prior to the input stage of data analysis. If data are not properly organized, the researcher may face difficulty while analyzing their meaning later on. For this purpose the data must be coded. Categorical data need to be given a number to represent them. For instance, regarding sex, we may give number 1 for male and 2 for female. Regarding occupation, numbers 1, 2, and the third of may represent farmer, service and professional respectively. The researcher may as well code interval or ratio data. For instance, IQ level with marks 120 and above may be given number 1, 90 to 119 number 2, 60 to 89 number 3, 30 to 59 number 4 and 29 and below number 5. Similarly, the income data classified in class intervals such as 4,000 rupees and above, Rs. 3,000-3,999, 2,000 rupees minus 2,999 and below 2,000 rupees may respectively be represented or coded as 1, 2, 3 and 4. The coded data are to be put in coding forms most systems. The computer. Its role in research 373 call for a maximum of 80 columns per line in such forms at the appropriate space meant for each variable. Once the researcher knows how many spaces each variable will occupy, the variables can be assigned to their column numbers from 1 to 80. If more than 80 spaces are required for each subject, then 2 or more lines will need to be assigned. The first few columns are generally devoted for subject identity number. Remaining columns are used for variables. When large number of variables are used in a study, separating the variables with spaces make the data easier to comprehend and easier for use with other programs. Once the data is coded, it is ready to be stored in the computer. Input devices may be used for the purpose. After this, the researcher must decide the appropriate statistical measures he will use to analyze the data. He will also have to select the appropriate program to be used. Most researchers prefer one of the canned programs easily available, but others may manage to develop it with the help of some specialized agency. Finally, the computer may be operated to execute instructions. The above description indicates clearly the usefulness of computers to researchers in data analysis. Researchers, using computers, can carry on their task at faster speed and with greater reliability. The developments now taking place in computer technology will further enhance and facilitate the use of computers for researchers. Programming knowledge would no longer remain an obstacle in the use of a computer. In spite of all this sophistication, we should not forget that basically computers are machines that only compute, they do not think. The human brain remains supreme and will continue to be so for all times. As such, researchers should be fully aware about the following limitations of computer-based analysis. 1. Computerized analysis requires setting up of an elaborate system of monitoring, collection and feeding of data. All these require time, effort and money. Hence, computer-based analysis may not prove economical in case of small projects. 2. Various items of detail which are not being specifically fed to computer may get lost sight of. 3. The computer does not think, it can only execute the instructions of a thinking person. If poor data or faulty programs are introduced into the computer, the data analysis would not be worthwhile. The expression, garbage in, garbage out, describes this limitation very well.